Okay, folks, we're live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the September 30th meeting of the Northborough Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Guess first off, Becca, do you have the notice from the governor?
Yes, I do. Okay. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law June 16, 2021. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. This meeting will be live streamed and will have an option for public participation. For the webinar information to join this meeting, please go to the Town of Northborough's website and see our agenda with the posted information, or our Facebook page, which also has that information as well.
Thank you, Becca. Tonight, we're just going to do a quick roll call just so we can be sure everybody's connected, both visually and can be heard. Mary Leach.
Present.
Miriam Ibrahimi.
Present.
Chica Holland.
Present.
Virginia Sims George.
Present.
Becca Meekins.
Present.
And I am Tim Kalin. I am obviously present. So the first item on the agenda tonight is approval of the minutes from, what was the date on the minutes, Becca?
September 2.
September 2nd. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
In a second?
Second.
So moved by Chica Holland, second by Mary Leach. Do anybody have any comments, additions, discussions on the minutes?
No.
Hearing none. All right, roll call vote. Mary Leach,
Aye.
Miriam Ibrahimi.
I will abstain.
Thank you. Chica Holland,
Aye.
Virginia Sims George,
Aye.
Becca Meekins,
Aye.
and I, Tim Kalin, vote aye. So the meeting minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda for tonight is the Diversity and Inclusion Committee's listening session that we're holding so that we can hear feedback from the community. I just want to first thank Chica for all the work that she's done on the Facebook page and getting everything out there. It's been really well done, and all your work is very much appreciated. I may have to hire you to do some stuff for me off the outside of the committee. It was really well done.
No problem.
So thank you for that. So I guess we had come up with four main questions that we were hoping to get feedback from. And just if people aren't aware of those, just let me read those so that people can hear them. The first was, how can the town do more to address issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion in Northborough? Second was, what action do you want to see from the Diversity and Inclusion Committee in the future? Third was, does our community demonstrate a commitment to meeting the needs of residents with disabilities? And the fourth was, what has your experience been with respect to diversity, equity, inclusion in the Northborough community? So those, it would be very helpful for us as a committee to hear feedback on those four areas from residents. As people may or may not know, our committee's main charge is to put together a document with recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. And those recommendations are going to be things for the Board of Selectmen to consider and hopefully implement, with the goal of continuing to make Northborough a diverse and inclusive community and be welcoming to everybody to either live, work, or visit our town. So that's the charge of our committee, and the feedback that we get from residents tonight is going to be a very important part of those recommendations. So First off, thanks to everybody that's taken the time to join us tonight. So as far as the listening session goes, if residents or people that have called in or joined our meeting would like to make a comment, you just raise your hand through the Zoom app and we will bring you in. We just ask that you share your name and address, and we will be keeping comments to 3 minutes. That way we could be sure that we hear from everybody tonight. And much like we have on our Facebook page, we just wanted to share some guidelines for tonight. I think the most important part of this listening session is that we do have and set a safe environment for people to authentically share some of their experiences in town. So I think it's important for people to be respectful, mutually respectful of the committee members and also of each other, of residents. And we do ask, much like we do on the Facebook page, there's some obvious things that are not allowed, but just so there's no confusion. Obviously, discrimination on the basis of race, creed, color, age, religion, gender, national origin, or any other kind, obviously will not be tolerated, and that person will be shut off and removed from the meeting. Defamatory or personal attacks will not be tolerated. Threats of any kind to any people, persons, or organizations. Would like to keep politics out of this. So anything around politics, especially local politics, be best to keep those comments out of this discussion. And then harassment of any kind will not be tolerated. So anybody that violates those simple rules will be asked to leave the meeting. Did anybody have anything else they'd like to add to that? No? All right, so if there's anybody that would like to come in and make any comments, please just raise your hand and Becca will bring you in.
Okay, I'm bringing in Bertha Tang.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting an online community listen, and it's great to see you all. I recently moved here from Western New York, and I have some questions about...
Just interrupt you for 1 second. Can you just state your name and address?
Yes, sorry. My name is Bertha Tang, and I live at 22 Pleasant Street, right in town.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So I had some questions about the disability aspects of the DEI efforts. I noticed that particularly around where I live, my street, Pleasant Street, Church Street, and I think it's Howard Street, that's like right down the block from us, has pretty old beat up asphalt sidewalks, and they're buckling, they're not very flat, and in some places they're very narrow. The edges are crumbling into the dirt and grass on either side. I was just wondering if it is within the committee's power to recommend some kind of repair schedule to help our town be a little bit more friendly towards people who use mobility assistance, wheelchairs, powered chairs, or even just parents with strollers, because especially the stretch along Church Street from Pleasant to the Little Bridge is so narrow that I'm afraid to take my child out in a stroller down that stretch. I carry her because it's so narrow. There's a cutout in particular for a storm drain, and the width of the sidewalk drops down to maybe 2 feet. And
Yeah.
if we, especially during pandemic times, we pass anyone along the way, in order to maintain a safe distance, one party inevitably has to like jump off into the weeds to keep a safe distance. And there's also no health strip, that there's no separation between the street traffic, the cars, and the edge of the sidewalk. So like if you trip, you can just fall directly into a car. I was wondering, if the committee has the power to make any positive changes in that regard. And sorry, I'm probably running out of time, but my second question is regarding busing. As of last year, I saw that there was a paper recommending some improvements to Northborough's public transportation, but I don't think any of those have been implemented yet. I know that the town offers some like call to ride for medical assistance type things. But is there a plan to maybe expand those to more generic busing infrastructure? Because Northborough is like, what, 6 miles away from the commuter rail station, but there's no way to get there without a car, which seems very counterintuitive to me. So if we want our town to be accessible, I think improving our busing infrastructure is hugely important. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Very helpful. As far as the infrastructure goes, sidewalks, ramps, I do think that we as a committee will be including recommendations to the Board of Selectmen for improvements in those areas. And also, I would encourage residents to reach out to the Master Plan Implementation Committee that recently met or started meeting. Part of that plan is for improvements downtown. And I know that doesn't directly impact Pleasant Street, Church Street, but it's an extension of some of the improvements that people were looking for downtown. Sidewalks and accessibility for people with disabilities is part of the improvement plan. So we as a committee can and will have those recommendations in our report to the Board of Selectmen. And you can also reach out directly to the Board of Selectmen to let them know, because if there's any immediate issues that can be addressed, maybe that's something that can be done immediately. I don't know if there's already a schedule in place or what, if the DPW has that in their plans already. Yeah, Becca, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to talk briefly about that. So sidewalks are, obviously it's a topic that affects everyone in town. Most people utilize sidewalks, desire to have sidewalks in their neighborhood, and for good reason. Particularly when you look at some of the environmental impacts, that car transit has on the community and the world, really. I will say that, so Northborough we have a pavement improvement plan. So several years ago, the town hired an engineer, a firm, to come in and basically assess all of our roads and take a look at the status of them, basically rate them. And then using that data, we put together a plan to fix roads, a capital plan that looks into the future so we can figure out how to budget and allocate our monies down the road. in the last year, the DPW has taken steps to essentially apply that same logic to sidewalks. So we are just now looking into starting basically sidewalk improvement plan. So we're in the beginning phases of it, which is, bringing on that firm to do that assessment, take a look at not just what existing sidewalks need repair, but where are there obvious places for us to put new sidewalks that might connect neighborhoods, schools, parks, things like that, so that we can make the community ultimately more walkable. Because, both from an ability standpoint and from an environmental standpoint, it just makes sense. So that is definitely on the radar. It's something that we're currently working on. I don't have a timeline. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and tell you it's going to be ready in 6 months, because I don't know. But I do know that the Department of Public Works has taken steps to start that initiative. And I would just say, keep an eye on our website. As we get more information, we will certainly release more information and keep everybody up to date.
And then,
Thank you.
and then quickly on busing. Public transportation is also part of of one aspect of the master plan. And busing has been brought up in other areas too. The senior center specifically has been asking about or looking to address transportation needs for some of the senior citizens in the community. So it is something, and again, like Becca said, I don't know a timeline on it. I do know that it has been asked and has been and continued to look into at various different levels throughout the community. But again, it's an aspect of the master plan too. So you can check in with that group and let them know.
Sorry, because I'm new to the community, will there be links to these master plans and selectmen's resources?
Yes, if you go on the town website,
Okay.
Becca, the actual master plan is on the town website, right?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, so you can go on the town website and there's links for the master plan committee, there's links for the board of selectmen, there's links for our committee, so that you can get all the information, meeting dates and times and how to access them, and and hopefully any information that you need.
Thank you.
And since you're new in town, if you have any trouble, feel free to reach out to me and let me know, because I'll be happy to help you navigate anything that you may have trouble finding.
Perfect. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I do just want to make a quick plug. If there are seniors in town, or I believe even folks that have ability issues who need transportation to medical appointments, there is a service run through the senior center that does offer that. So I would encourage folks to take a look at our website. If you, I think our website is easy to navigate, but there's a departments tab, and there's a senior center tab for the senior center department, and they talk about the WRTA bus service that they provide for seniors. In the town planning department is all of the information about the master plan and the actual master plan. And there'll also be a link to the master plan implementation committee page, which has the dates of their meetings, their agendas, their meeting minutes, and things like that. So a website is really a great resource, particularly for folks who are new to town, who are looking to just get more information and learn more about what's going on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bertha. All right. Anybody else like to come in and have any comments or questions? Just raise your hand.
Okay, bringing in a Kristen.
Hi, my name is Kriti, and I think I was trying to put it on Zoom, but I think it has made it Kristen. It's Kriti, Kriti. And I'm on 44 Davis Street. And there is something that I would like to mention. I was wondering, like, is the committee doing anything to make the Indian diaspora feel more inclusive in terms of our cultural activities? Because from the land that we come from, we have a number of holidays, and it's not about religion, or I'm not talking about per se religion, but as an Indian subcontinent, there is a major festival in our culture which is called Diwali, and I mean, people of different religions celebrate it. It's not just confined to the Hindu religion. It's like everybody, Jains, Buddhists, you name it, and people all over the Indian subcontinent celebrate it. I was wondering, like, is there anything that the committee can do to make the Indian diaspora feel more inclusive? Because I feel like when children are exposed to different culture, since they are so young, they adapt to these changes very easily. And I mean, this is something very personal to me. My daughter has experienced something at school which was very unpleasant for us. Unfortunately, she was told that by a fellow classmate that I do not like to play with brown kids. And that made my kid very sad. It's been 2 years now that she faced it. And this was something that we were not aware of it. At least I was not aware of it, this kind of racism that existed. And it was very difficult for me to explain this to a 6-year-old, the idea of the race, like how do you discriminate on the basis of skin tone? And since what I want to say is I am actually making an effort to make myself more knowledgeable so that I can explain it to my kids better, and maybe to my fellow not bureau citizens as well. And I feel like if we can do something to make Diwali, because it's such a big celebration, a part of our North Borough program, it would be really, really helpful to my kids. They would feel like this is something that we celebrate as a town. Others can also get to know about it. And just like something like when we are celebrating Halloween or Christmas, and we do uh, during at the town center, we have so many different festivals, and then people come over and then we look at it. This is something that I am particularly interested in. Is there anything that the committee can actually recommend or maybe do about it? Thanks.
Thank you, Kriti. So for Diwali, I met with the chair of the Community Affairs Committee, along with Leslie Rutan from the Board of Selectmen, to have a discussion about how we can do a better job of recognizing Diwali, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa, and any other holidays that are celebrated throughout our community. And we're working on putting something together for this year. I don't know what scale it will be at, but it will be enough to recognize and do something to celebrate it, with the goal of working next year to put something, I don't want to say more elaborate, I don't know if that sounds right, but more representative of next year. So it is being worked on. And I also would like to ask if there's anything else that the town or this committee should be aware of from the Indian community that we could be doing or celebrating or recognizing, just let us know. Because I mean, honestly, we may just not know. So
Yes,
if you just share it with us, this committee will do everything that we can and make recommendations, strong recommendations that they're included in town events and activities.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks a lot. It's just that I feel like if our kids are exposed, when they become the next generation, they will be more adaptable and inclusive. They may not know. I'm not saying that everybody knows everything about every culture. It's just not possible. But we can be open to learn. Like we can keep our minds open. Like, okay, this has existed, and we can definitely learn something about one another. That's all that I am like looking forward to. That's all.
Yes. Miriam, did you have something?
I did. I just wanted to say, Kriti, I just want to acknowledge your experience and your kids' experience. As a member of the South Asian diaspora, I feel very deeply what you talked about, and I thank you for sharing that here today. As people of color, as a person of color, I've had to grow up much faster than my white classmates.
Yep.
My existence is political, very much so. So one of the suggestions that we'll make to the board and that I've worked on is to be inclusive when it comes to celebrating holidays and celebrations that all people of color, of race, of religion, of identity celebrate. And that will be a suggestion that we make, that to include the town in it and making that a part of our town's culture. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you.
I have one thing I want to add. I just want to echo Miriam's statements. Kriti, thank you for sharing your experiences and your family's experiences. I do want to mention, we met with the recreation director several months ago. Her name is Allie Lane. And she and I were having a discussion recently, and she let me know that there has been a huge influx of requests to develop the opportunity for folks to play cricket in town. I know that cricket is a very popular sport, and it's the number of requests that she's getting is increasing every day. So she is taking a serious look at creating some recreational space in town where folks could play cricket. So that is, something that she's working on very hard, and she's well aware of the desire to have that ability. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, yes. A cricket pitch would be like a dream come true for many, many of the Indian diaspora. It's like we live on it. We live on it. It's like something of the rivalry between America and Canada, the ice hockey rivalry that you guys have. It's like one of the biggest things that can happen, actually. Oh, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Kriti. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kriti. So if anybody else wants to join, just raise your hand and we'll bring you right in.
Okay, Leslie, I am bringing you in right now.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, it's good to see you all. And I just want to say this is a great idea to have a listening session. And it's the kind of thing where I would love to see more, maybe on a regular basis kind of thing, because as more people hear about these and realize that they can really get on these and speak and talk, and they actually are heard, I think it will inspire other people to call in. I think it's a fantastic idea. And it seems like Shika, you were really, I think you were primarily responsible for getting the word out. You did a great job with the PR.
Thank you. Thanks, Leslie.
Yeah, it was all over the place. So I think that's great. But I think it's this is the kind of thing that can snowball once people hear about it and they realize, oh, this is pretty cool. As Tim had mentioned, there are three of us that are trying to figure out the best way to have some sort of celebration of this, as all the faiths really, around the holidays. And of course, dates can differ every year, but we don't, maybe, you know, we have the tree lighting, but there could be, even without it being said, kind of that inference that it's a Christmas type of a thing. And I think, as Tim knows and has mentioned, that it'd be nice to have something that is more representative of the different cultures in town. I guess my question is how best to reach out to the community to find out what all the cultures are and how to find a point person who we can work with to figure out the best way to do this. So I think, you know, not everybody's necessarily on social media. I think most people are in some form, maybe not all. It's not like everybody sees all the Facebook posts. Some people are on Instagram, some aren't. Maybe something in the community advocate in a letter to the editor type of thing, or see if there's a reporter. I know we have Laura Hayes, who covers a lot of our Northborough meetings, who might be willing to do an article about the desire of your committee, you know, and the desire to have something that is more representative, something that could be done in the town common, and how do we get people to work with us so that what we're doing is, number one, enough, but it's also appropriate. So
Yeah, we have we've had that discussion many times, not just in regards to doing something for holidays, but how to reach people to get them, just be aware that there is a diversity included committee, and we went through it with the survey, and you know, Virginia's always very good about reminding us that there are other avenues besides Facebook to get the word out. So she's always, and she has great ideas about how to get information out to the public and to residents that are outside of, you know, the face of social media. You know, we do have, you know, the diversity and inclusion Facebook page, which I think is a great addition for the committee and will be very helpful, but we are also very aware of taking advantage of every avenue that we can to reach people.
Wonderful. Well, I think it's a great idea to want to do that kind of thing this year, even though, you know, there's not a whole lot of time really to necessarily do individual types of things. So it's, you know, how do you do that as far as a celebration that represents everyone somehow in some fashion. But I just want to thank you all very much for all your work on this committee. This is a great committee. And
Thank you, Leslie.
our board looks forward to hearing from you guys and your recommendations and what you'd like to do. And I don't think I can't speak for everybody, but I can't imagine you're going to run into a whole lot of resistance here. That's just me saying that, but I thank you very, very much for your time and for me.
Does that mean we get a blank checkbook? Is that
pretty much? It is right here. So thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me speak.
All right, great. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Take care, you too. Thanks.
Okay, I am bringing in a Yoon Mi Zhang. Hope I said that right.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? Could you state your name and your address?
Yoon Mi Jung is the Mandarin pronunciation. The Americanized is Zhang and much more known. I actually have had people correct me and say, "Oh, you mean Zhang?" So that just kind of shows you my experience.
Yes.
With my own name and culture and identity. I live at 30 Bartlett Street, and I am also new to town.
Well, welcome.
We moved first day of school, September 1st. And I'm learning about all the wonderful things that Northborough has to offer. And there are many things that I absolutely love and adore about it. But I've also been a bit anxious to see what the experience will be like for my kids. My daughter is 4 and in daycare, and my son is 7 in 2nd grade. And at a previous school, in fact, the school we just left, there were a couple of incidents that my son had experienced, including being told that a pretty common Chinese dish that he was eating was gross. And my son, who happens to normally love eating this, has now refused to eat it at school because kids make fun of him. But he will still eat it at home because he knows that it's a safe place to eat it. Another incident at Halloween of last year, where a bunch of boys picked on him and started chanting Chinese boy. So naturally, I am concerned about situations like that happening and how they will be handled in the school or in the community. So far, we have not experienced anything, but that doesn't mean that I don't worry. Yeah, I'm just, you've got like the parent, the school handbook that gives you like that generic information about how things might be handled. Just to keep in mind that it's really difficult as parents to try to approach something like this with other parents. There's always some sort of like fear of instead of being receptive, that instead will be ostracized. So just to find a way to get more of a dialogue going, rather than some sort of one side versus another side.
Thank you very much for calling in, and thank you for sharing that. I do think it's important for people to hear that people do have these stories, and they're concerning, not for everybody. We did have, at one of our previous meetings, we had the superintendent, Greg Martineau, and Rhoda Webb. I'm sorry, it's Rhoda
Webb. Yep.
Rhoda Webb. And I forget the name of the committee or group that she's working with in the schools. The social equity.
Was it the Coalition for Equity?
The Coalition for Equity, yes. Yep. So this is the concerns that you're expressing are very much on the school administration's radar, very, very much so. If you have the time, you can watch the meeting where Superintendent Martineau joined us, because he goes into a lot of details about how the school administration is approaching diversity, equity, and inclusion, things that they are currently doing, things they're going to do in the future. Equity audits are going to be done in the near future. Different types of programs at the high school, different types of programs at the grade schools, and how the diversity of the community is really represented by our kids. So it's very important for, as Creedy was saying, for our kids to just learn and just be kids, it's, so I think that's, and And then as far as this committee goes, our recommendations will include continued support from the board, both financially and policy-wise, to continue to support the high school in the schools and the programs they are, like I said, working on, that have been currently implemented and they're looking to put into effect in the future. Anybody else have any other comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, thank you for coming here today and sharing this with us. I graduated from ARHS, and these were experiences of many people of color in high school still. So I am certainly, aware of that. And this is certainly an issue that is ever so present. And kids are very much members of our community. So I hope that moving forward, our committee can both work with the superintendent, the school board, and the Coalition for Equity. Yeah.
Thank you, Miriam.
I'll just add one quick thing. So like Tim said, all of our meetings are recorded and then available for playback on YouTube. And on the date that Superintendent Martineau and Rhoda Webb came in was May 6th. So just to make it a little easier for you filtering through the many, many meetings on there. So May 6th is the date we met with them. Our meeting minutes from that meeting are also available on the town's website. The Diversity and Inclusion Committee has its own committee page where you can find all of our minutes. And then just the last thing I'll say is, unfortunately, Lauren Bailey-Jones is not here tonight, but she is the school's representative to this committee. So she serves on the school committee as well as on the D&I committee. So she has really been a way for us to stay connected with the schools. And, I don't want to put her on the spot because she's not here, but I know that she would be happy to be a resource. If anybody ever wanted to reach out or needed help getting connected to somebody on the school side, Lauren would be more than willing to offer that. And more information is available on our website as well.
Great, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Valerie Schmidt. I'm bringing you in, Valerie.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
Well, how are you?
I'm good.
My name is Valerie Schmidt. I live at 20 Dennis Circle.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I have a couple of things in no random order. So one is holidays. Has Columbus Day ever come up in this committee? Because I do think that American history plays a big role in where we are today with our diversity or not, and racial justice. And I think it's important to educate our community about what we actually celebrate and who we are celebrating. So that's one question that I have, if that would be considered, renaming Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, as it has been in several states already. The other one is the title of the committee. I know sometimes it's DEI, but officially it's only diversity and inclusion, which I don't think it goes far enough. I think that was kind of maybe out of hesitancy to step on any toes, and I do think there will be resistance.
I just want to say one thing to that.
Okay.
That was my mistake.
I'm not.
I just want to, when I was on the Board of Selectmen, I set up the committee. I was working in diversity inclusion professionally, so that just got in the way of my thoughts when I was putting this committee together. But when we do make the recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, at minimum, it's going to be the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, at minimum. So that will be addressed when we make the recommendation. I understand that was a short-sighted on my part when I was putting the committee together.
I'm glad to hear that's on the agenda to include that, because I think that's a really important aspect. And I think we need to go further, if we really want to make a difference. And then another thought that came to me hearing some of the stories of the speakers before me, we always say, oh, Northborough is such a welcoming town. It's such a great town. And then we hear from people of color who have a very different experience. And I think obviously protecting people who want to share their stories, I think those stories need to be publicized in some way. Like, can there be an anonymous forum where people can share their experiences of racism and discrimination, or any kind of discrimination, obviously, and share that with the public to tell them, yes, we love Northborough, but we still have a ways to go before we actually are a safe and inclusive town, and help people who don't experience it to realize that it's real and that it's actually happening. Because I can't imagine anyone would want their child to go through some of the stories that we just heard here tonight.
Right, agreed. That's a wonderful idea about the anonymous forum. I think we can certainly have, as a committee, a discussion about that. And when you're working with municipalities, it's just there's just different legal aspects that we just have to talk. Like, if it were just a private organization, I'd be like, yeah, we're going to do that. That's a great idea. I think we should have that. It's just with the municipality, it just needs to go through the proper channels and the proper process so that it can be approved. And I'm not aware of what that is for something of that nature, but I think that's a tremendous idea. And then as far as Columbus Day goes, Becca, do you have any, from the administration side, any ideas on, I don't even know if the schools are calling it Columbus Day now.
On the school, I just looked it up. On the school calendar, it's listed as Columbus Day.
Okay.
So it's definitely something that's been on this committee's radar. I think what is likely to happen is that when we're due to make our recommendations to the board by the end of the year, we're a little bit tied up in terms of making a recommendation for this year because of the board's meeting schedule. We won't be able to get in a recommendation for them to take a vote prior to Indigenous Peoples Day this year. But I would be willing to bet a lot of money that a recommendation to change that in the future years will certainly be something that comes out of this committee, when we make our recommendations in December, January. So hopefully next year and for all the years after that, we can, rightfully be naming it Indigenous Peoples Day. So I just want to say that it's on our radar. I can't speak for the schools. Lauren's not here tonight, but, we'll certainly make sure that, to find out what their plan is in terms of renaming in the future. And I do want to just point out that I think that the library may be doing some programming around Indigenous Peoples Day this year. So I would encourage folks to check out the library website. They're really big into education. We had a meeting with Jen Bruno, who's the new library director previously this year. She is very passionate about DE&I. It's something that, she cares a lot about and she brings into her work every day. So I would encourage people to look to the library as a resource, as well as this committee, but also the library, because they're doing a lot of this work independent of us, which is great, which is fantastic.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And obviously, I also want to thank all of you for what you're doing and commend you and wish you courage and strength and success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay.
So if anybody else wants to come in with comments or questions, just raise your hand and Becca will bring you in. All right, not seeing any more hands. Did anybody on the committee have any comments or from what we've heard? Yes, Virginia.
I was listening, and you know what? Years and years ago, we tried to do something with the Community Affairs Committee, and I was thinking we'll maybe think about a festival of nations around the holidays, something like that, and try to get the information of the different cultures and nationalities that are here in town, and work with the Community Affairs Committee and do the Festival of Nations.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because that was part of the conversation that we were having, was be very difficult to have separate events for each unique group. But how do we put together an event that is representative of as many people as we possibly can? And how do you date it? So, or what date do you hold it on? So it's close to everything, so.
So years ago, the Community Affairs did something in the town hall gym. And we had, it was around the holidays, and we had Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and Christmas all around the room with different things. It was small and, but it was something that I know that committee tried to do. And so, and I know they're interested in something. So, maybe we could partner with them and others and do something to help to do something like that, where it would be inclusive of as many things as we could.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I have a quick add on to that, because I love that idea of being able to incorporate as many different cultures or celebrations and opportunities to recognize different cultures. There was a recommendation on the Facebook page around maybe leveraging April, which would be like Diversity Month or Diversity Awareness Month, and using that as an opportunity to kind of put a stake in the ground and say, this is when we're going to celebrate. I know it's not as close to the holidays, so it might not fit as well into what we're trying to achieve, but it's a good opportunity for us to kind of highlight different cultures and have almost like a festival of diversity within our town, kind of using April as that opportunity to do that. So that was not my idea. It came from the Facebook page. I just wanted to kind of throw that into the conversation here because I thought it was a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, just, working with the Community Affairs Committee, we could even create a new event,
there you go.
In
Yeah.
April, that's, a diversity event. And
well, one of the things we need to talk to them, because April is also town cleanup, and they've been doing that for eons and eons of years, but that's on a Saturday, and whether they could handle 2 programs, I'm not sure, but yeah. But I love it. I think it's a good idea. And I don't do Facebook, so I didn't know about that one. So.
Yeah, great idea. I love it.
it looks like Yuni Zhang has her hand back up. since we don't have anyone else in the queue, I'm gonna bring her back in.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say that, this is great brainstorming ideas. But I think that we also need to be mindful of the fact that if we want to really be inclusive, that maybe not throwing all the holidays into one is giving each culture their representative due. I think that so I'm not shooting your idea down. I'm just saying that it's we do need to be thoughtful about that, because another idea that I have is that maybe finding those groups, those communities, to put together something and have the backing of the town. That way, the right amount of attention and detail and festivity can be paid to each one. I don't know that I can't speak for, those that celebrate Diwali, how they'll feel about having to celebrate it in April, or, us celebrating Lunar New Year. I don't think will go over well doing that in April, and I just, I think that there's a way to thoughtfully do this in a way that doesn't make it feel like, let's throw all of the People of Colors festival into one little thing while we spend all this time and money planning the tree lighting. I think we still need to be careful about that, because then it still feels like it's skewed more towards the majority rather than highlighting the diversity.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one of the conversations, or in the conversation that I had with the chair of the Community Affairs Committee, was exactly that, was if we were to hold individual events to reach out to members of each community to see if that community had a representative that wanted to take part in planning and gathering resources, and how do we effectively communicate with the community so that that it's properly presented. So that has been part of the discussion. And I think, and again, this is, just a discussion, but I didn't get the impression that the diversity day in April would be held to replace the holidays. It would just be its own separate day or month to celebrate diversity in the town, whereas, and we'd still have the events around the holiday seasons as best we could.
Okay.
Tim, I also wanted to remind the committee that Deidre had mentioned there are a number of holidays, all of them are not included on the celebration that the federal government list and everything. So there are months that they're geared toward diversity holidays, and not just diversity, well, diversity, because like March, you have a Women's Month, June, you have Gay Pride Month, February, Black History. There are things that are going. So we also talked about making those, celebrating those, or putting out information about those that people can at least know and learn about different cultures or something. So I know she brought that up, and just about each month there is something, but there are those that are missing, things that are missing, like Diwali or Hanukkah. Those are not included in those. So it's a big community of things and ideas. So it's gonna take time to sort of talk about it, figure it out, and gather information on how do we tackle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the energy and the excitement for this is fantastic. So I don't mean to be shooting anybody down, but I think that you've said it exactly. It's going to take time and thoughtfulness to make sure that we do this right instead of just what's the quick band-aid, because unfortunately there really just is no quick band-aid for something like this. There isn't going to be something that we can just, hey, let's throw a festival and everybody will feel better. And you know, I'm sure that there's going to be stumbling blocks, but I do think that the work that you guys are trying to do is fantastic, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're trying to avoid the quick Band-Aid fix on everything. So to Virginia's point, it will take time. There may be some Band-Aids that hold us over as we implement things behind the scenes, but the goal is to make long-lasting change within the community.
And I just want to mention one thing, just sort of piggybacking off of that discussion. You know, if there are like community members or groups of folks that get together and have a real passion or a desire to celebrate an event in a public space, want to hold some sort of celebration of any kind, you know, this committee is doing as much as it can, as fast as it can. Obviously, you know, we all have limitations, but really, I would encourage those groups to reach out to me, to this committee, reach out to the town administrator's office, the board of selectmen, and maybe maybe we can meet in the middle. Maybe it's not just the CAC and this group you know, planning that next event. Maybe it's a community group that comes in and says, hey, we've already got this plan. This is what we want to do. Can we do it? You know, that works too. You know, we're open to that. And I know the Board of Selectmen is open to that. And, you know, we have a fantastic DPW. We have a lot of great public parks and spaces in town. And we want to see them get used, you know, by everyone in whatever way feels right for them and their culture. So please, if you want to do something or are looking to do something, reach out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, if there aren't any more comments, or if people don't have any other comments or questions, I think we can go ahead and close the listening session. So the only other thing on the agenda tonight was, did anybody have any other business they wanted to discuss this evening?
Actually, I have something I want to just share with the committee for the committee's info. It's good news, a happy update. So if you recall, one of the first people we met with was Chief Dave Parenti of the fire department. And we talked about a lot of stuff with him, but one of the things that we talked about was the fact that, you know, we pretty much exclusively have the need for firefighter paramedics because we run an ALS service. 85% of the calls are medical. There's not a lot of firefighting that goes on, contrary to recent history. there's not a ton of large fires that are being fought regularly in Northborough. So most of what we do is medical. The chief had talked a lot about some of the barriers for candidates who desire to become firefighter paramedics. Costs about $15,000 to go get your paramedic certification. And prior to just recently, we were only looking at candidates who were almost done with school, meaning they had already paid the 15 grand or already had their certification. So there was a financial barrier there that we had talked to him about. In the last month, we have worked with the union, the fire department, and the town administrator's office to draft a memorandum of understanding whereby the town will cover half of that cost to send recruits to paramedic school. So, you know, it is a barrier that we had talked about, and the chief worked very hard, and we got it done. So we just recently went out, put an ad out for firefighter paramedics, and we had almost double the number of applicants because we put in the ad that we would offer that educational support. So I just want to say, you know, I think that the discussion with the committee, you know, really pushed the chief to make moves on that. And so, you know, thank you, and it's a job well done for us.
Great news.
One quick question, Becca.
Yeah.
Of the applicants you got, how diverse were they though? That's good news. I'll say that, and congratulations to him. But you say you got double the applicants. Were they diverse, a diverse pool?
Yeah, so we actually brought 2 females into the first round of interviews. I'm not sure. I haven't touched base with the chief. I know he was sending a few of them to the physical test was the next portion of it. But, you know, we weren't getting any females, and we were only getting a handful of applicants. So I think that the modification to the policy and the financial support certainly opened the door for a lot of prospective recruits. So I think that's great.
That is good. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really great news. It's really exciting. And I just wanted to thank everybody that came out to work at the table at Applefest, and then all the people that we had a chance to speak with at Applefest, and all the courageous people from the committee that we're going up and talking with people. I thank you for that. I told Mary that it's just not my strength is not approaching people without an introduction. So I always marvel at people's ability to strike up a conversation with people. So I thought that was great. So thank you to everybody for helping out with that. Hi, Deidre.
I'm so disappointed. I didn't know about the open house until I got the reminder email a couple of days ago. So, but I hope it went well. How did it go?
It went good. It went good. We can catch up.
Yeah, I'll watch the video. I really want to see what happened for myself.
I had one question. I had sent an email trying to get as much content as I possibly can before I have to go back into the working world again. And I wanted to know how you all felt about the Meet the Team Monday idea, which would require that you share with me like a picture and a little something about yourself. It's okay if you don't want to do it, or if anyone's like, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. That's okay, but I did want to bring it up because I had heard from Mary, but I didn't hear from anyone else. Sad.
Okay, thanks for reminding me about that. I think that's a great idea. I saw your email. I will send you that information.
Everyone's busy.
As soon as possible. Thanks for reminding me.
No problem. No problem. Everybody else. Yay,
I agree. I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I just forgot, but you've reminded me.
It's okay.
So I'll send you my headshot and my blood.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. Virginia, I know you're not on Facebook or any of the socials, but
Would you
how you
still
feel?
want me to do that? Because
I
I'm
would
not
love
on.
for you to do that. I would love for all of us to, if we feel okay.
So can you just use what we have in the brochure?
Sure, if you want to send me a photo, I can use what you have in the brochure. That's no problem. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And Tim, how are you on that?
I think it's great. I'll send over stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's
Thanks.
I think it's great for people to be able to put a face with the name. So I think it'd be very good.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna take a picture with my dogs.
I like it. Yes, please. You can make it personal. I'll probably change my picture because mine's a little uptight looking, but it's like very, very tight. But I appreciate you guys agreeing to do it. I think it'll be fun to highlight everybody.
Well, we appreciate
on
you.
another note, it was nice to meet you all in person, although I wasn't able to stay with you, but it was like, hey, I recognized everybody right away. So that was good.
That was nice.
It was
I
fun.
know I walked past you all sort of, I don't know who I saw. I locked in on Mary and she was walking away, so I was following her. But I usually, or even recently, have gotten like a disconnect, but you all look like you look, on camera. It's not like you're like I met someone recently and they're so much taller than I could have ever imagined. So that kind of threw me off. But you all, I just felt like I knew you already. So that was good.
I was yelling at you because I recognized you as you were walking toward Mary and following Mary. And Mary was going to move her car because she had been there, but it was good to see everybody. So good.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
If you want a banner, we can get one through the school.
We need
Okay.
To put in our order.
I think we should wait until we change our name.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I do see it that there's a couple of people from the board in the attendees, so just so they know that one of our main recommendations is going to be to continue with the committee. So I think that's actually the first step to make sure that we can continue as a committee and then change the name and get the sign together.
I hope so. I really, really enjoy working with each of you. It's really great. Such a nice group.
Yeah. So, Jason Perot's here, Leslie Rutan's here, and Scott Rogers is here. So it's always good to see, get support from the board and know that they're in tune with what we're working on and looking to accomplish and implement in town. So
yeah, great.
Thank you.
So that's all we had tonight. If I get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion to adjourn by Virginia Sims George and seconded by Miriam Ibrahimi. Roll call vote. Deidre Writing. You're muted.
Deidre.
I'm like, what? I heard myself. No.
Mary Leach.
Aye.
Miriam Ibrahimi.
Aye.
Chica Holland.
Aye.
Virginia Sims George.
Aye.
Becca Meekins.
Aye.
And I vote aye. And before we go, I just would like to thank everybody that called in tonight, everybody that spoke. Your participation and your comments and your feedback are so important to us, both on a committee level And then for me on a personal level, it's important that we hear that feedback, because if we don't hear it, then we may not know, and if we don't know, then we can't address it. So it's just very, very helpful. So thank you to everybody that called in and shared their stories. So I vote aye. And we are